Welcome to the next instalment of my Whiteboard Wednesday series, and I've had a bit of a change of background, bit of a change of scenery today because today's communication tip is all about our movement and our position. So to bring that to life, I have my whiteboard, magic whiteboard above me today. Here we go. Probably nice and wonky, do apologise. But the questions that I'm asking today is about our movement. So to move or not to move? That is the question. And then we're going to talk very briefly about standing or sitting when we're presenting. So in terms of our movement, now communication these days, a lot of us are doing it online as opposed to physical spaces. So movement is quite challenging when we're doing it online because we've only got a much smaller window to play around with. However, when we are communicating in person, and these are tips that we can hopefully take into the future, think about the space that you've got around you. Often you'll have a stage or some sort of area to be able to move around with, and your slides, if you're using them, are often behind you, right? So what I would say is to try to stand still when you're talking about a particular topic, and then maybe move to the side of the room, maybe move around a little bit when you're then breaking into another topic in terms of what you're talking about. Now, the reason I say that is because it means that you're staying still and all the audience is engaging with you and hearing what you're saying. But then when you make a bit of movement, it also shows that, okay, I'm moving on to the next part of the talk right now, but it changes the dynamic a bit as well to keep your audience engaged. Standing versus sitting. So these days, as I said, a lot of us are communicating and speaking up online. We've got this smaller window to play around with. And for me, I prefer to stand when I'm presenting on camera. It just gives me that bit more energy. However, if you are sitting, just make sure that your feet are nice and grounded on the floor. You're sitting up nice and tall so you can really have as much space as possible and bring that energy forward and really bring that personality into your voice. If you're crouched down, it's going to sort of feel a bit closed. Your voice isn't going to sound as great as it can be. So that's my communication tip for today. In terms of movement, if it's a physical space, think about how you can use the area that you've got to your advantage to engage your audience. Online, keep it nice and still. One thing I should say is that some of us might be using office chairs that allow us to sway these days. I've seen a lot of swaying on camera over the last 6 months or so, and it's very distracting for the viewer. So sit nice and still if you are presenting that way. And whatever your preference is, standing or sitting, just make sure you're nice and open, your positioning is open so you can really get that energy across to your audience. If you found this video useful, check out even more ways to upgrade your impact by subscribing to my YouTube channel.